This is the Iron Man 2 8-inch figures of the Mark 6 and the War Machine armors. This is a new scale of figures that Hasbro's come up with. So far we've gotten two. Not entirely sure if they're going to do more, but they're sort of an in-between scale, not too big, not too small. They're, in my opinion, they're not really action figures per se. They're sort of statuettes or maquettes, and I think they're really just display pieces more than action figures. Now, in case you're wondering how big they are, if you haven't seen them already on shelves, this is the 4-inch or 3.75-inch figure, and this is a sample of a 6-inch figure. They're, I think, well, they're really for the collector. You know, they're really for somebody who just wants to really decorate the display shelf for the Iron Man figures. If you're really a die-hard fan of the 6-inch or the 4-inch, you're not really into figures that are bigger than the 6-inch line, then these figures are definitely not for you. You're probably just gonna hate them and criticize them like anything. But if you're a die-hard fan, you're a hardcore collector, I think these figures could be a showpiece or a centerpiece for your shelf, which is probably what I'm gonna do once I open up all my action figures, my Iron Man action figures, and get all of them ready for display. These guys are probably gonna be in the middle. They're actually not bad. A lot of the collectors have snubbed them, especially when they came out. You know, obviously the War Machine is probably gonna get picked up more than the Mark 6. I don't see after the first week when these figures came out, the War Machine was gobbled up by collectors. But this guy has been a peg warmer ever since it came out, and you know, I have to say this, between the two figures, I actually like this guy more than the War Machine figure. And a lot of the reasons, it really has to do with the design of the figure and the way it's been detailed. This particular figure has a lot better paint app. I mean, the plastic they used on it, a little bit metallic, no blemishes whatsoever. There's very little overlapping or fading away of the gold on the red. Just great, awesome detail. And in terms of posability, this one I think has a better pose. Now, a lot of people are really looking for the War Machine figures, and really this one is just really massive, and it really complements the figure. But my big drawback on this figure is really the very dull type of plastic they use, but that's really because that's the effect they're gunning for with War Machine. But I wish they would have made it a little bit more metallic and flake, put a little bit more flake on the plastic. Silver is awesome, and there's a little bit of a standing issue because the way the feet have been molded, they're a little bit forward than they should be. I mean, compared to the Mark 6, there's a little bit more heel sticking out at the back than this one, but it's okay. You just have to keep the arms a little bit to the side rather than to the back. Now, in terms of articulation, these guys have swivel hips and swivel shoulders, and no other articulation. The head, obviously the head is on a ball joint. That's probably the most articulate joint there is, with the Mark 6 having the widest range of motion, going up and down, left and right, whereas the War Machine figure can barely go up or down, but can move left to right. The torso piece looks as though it is articulated. That was one of the things I thought why I got them, because, you know, despite the lack of the knees and elbows, I figured, hey, it's got a torso articulation, but it's not. Torso doesn't budge. I mean, I've tried moving it in all imaginable ways. It will not budge. You can wiggle it a little bit, like so. This one's a little bit loose now because I've been trying to move it, but it's just been separated just for detail. This one, you can wiggle it. So with that limited articulation, these things have very little playability and posability that you can squeeze out of them. They're really, again, as I said, just statuettes and display pieces. Oh, I forgot to mention the War Machine figure has movable or jointed weapons. Very nice. That's a good touch. If you're wondering how heavy they're pretty heavy. Plastic's very solid. There are some hollow pieces here and there, like the War Machine's missile launcher, but they're quite heavy. Pretty solid. I mean, they're really gonna look good on your shelf. The other drawback I found out about these figures is if you're gonna pick them out. I mean, if you've decided that you're gonna get these guys, and again, as I said, if you really don't like them and you try and like them, you're not gonna like them. Even if you get them after this review, watching this review, they're really just for those who want something more than a 6-inch, but not too much of a 12-inch or a 10-inch. That sounded too obvious. Anyway, the other drawback is a lot of the paint apps will have blemishes, not because of the quality issue, but really because of the packaging. The packaging they came in is an open-faced packaging. There's no bubble. There's no plastic to cover them. They're just exposed. So when you can imagine when these guys get packed, shipped, and they move around in packaging, or when they get displayed on shelves, they're gonna get hit. Like my War Machine, the face has a little bit of scratch and a little bit of scratches on the forehead. So what I did was, when I had a little more time and I decided to get this guy, I chose the one with the best paint apps. It'll take you a little bit more than just a few minutes to just check out 5 or 6 figures on the rack and just pick one that has the best paint apps, because you're gonna pay a decent amount of money for these guys. Might as well get the ones that have excellent articulation. So here's the box art. These figures give you a 360 of the figure. Just very well detailed all around. Same with the War Machine figure. And there you go. I hope this video has been very helpful to many of you who have been wondering whether these figures are worth getting. I certainly think they're worth getting, especially if you're a hardcore Iron Man fan. But for those of you who just like the smaller scale, it's not for you. So there you go. The 8-inch Mark 6 and War Machine figures from the Iron Man 2 toy line. Thanks for watching.